Hey Leo, it's Jack. So before, we're getting started right away, I just wanted to take some time to explain a little bit about and talk a little bit about what the film itself is. Hey Leo, it's Jack. So before getting started moving along, I just wanted to take some time to catch you up on what brought me here in the first place and talk about what the whole film is about, just creating and making things. So as long as I can remember, I've always made things and started with, like even Lego kits and whatnot. And eventually I started building robots and then eventually websites, which is also an accident. I got enrolled in this web development class, I believe in ninth grade, accidentally or because I enrolled for PE and it was like overflowing. So they stuck me in this new class. But anyway, I decided to stay there and I kind of fell in love with building websites and the fact that no one cares how old I am or like what I look like. If I had a cool website, they would come to it, and sometimes I could even make money from it. So I would say that was the second stage. But kind of to summarize, I think there are three stages of realizations that brought me into kind of being able to, or just like creating everything, or a lot of things. So the first step was just, I think, just as any kid, just like making things. Um, and just I had supportive parents. Secondly, was when I enrolled in the class and I just learned how to do HTML and CSS. It wasn't even JavaScript; it was just those two things, and um, started making some websites and search engines that made me a tiny bit of money. And that was when I decided I want to be a startup founder. I want to be an internet entrepreneur, make a company like Google. And so that was the second step. The third step, I think, was the most important one, and this is right before entering college. I had encountered this one YouTube video of Steve Jobs in this lost interview, and this was like super impactful in my life. He said, there are two types of people: one who realize this and one who don't, and ones who don't. And the ones who realize are the ones who recognize that everything around you that you call life is made up by people that are no smarter than you are, and you can kind of change it and you can influence it, you can make it your own. And he was just basically saying these people, like everything, like the chair I'm sitting on, or Leo, you, or I guess the camera that you're running on, all those things are made up by humans. Like they're not like super species or the same type of people. Their brains are the same size as ours, and a lot of people fail to recognize that step. So it's really psychology is number one. Um, where people don't even, they immediately default to, oh, like of course they can do that, or of course I can't do that because they've been trained this way and they've been that. Just if you just step back and think about it, no, they're the same people as you. Yes, they might have different circumstances, but that doesn't mean that you can't reach where they are. So that was after realizing that, um, it really just widened my view of the world, I guess. And uh, since then I've gone on to, like, I think I've shifted my thinking fundamentally, and I've just been living with this philosophy for a very long time now, so I'm very used to it now. But um, I think it's easier to take it for granted, so I always want to think back. And because of that big moment, I guess part of the reason, and people ask like, why do I do all these things, or I even sometimes wonder why. And one of them, I think the first and foremost thing is, I think it's just something I like to do. Sometimes you can't explain why you like something. I just really, really, really fucking like building things, so I do it. And secondly, it is maybe um, kind of using myself as almost like a guinea pig to prove a certain point. Like I have my own set of beliefs, much like Steve did, I guess, of like how people think and how I think people learn. And if I serve myself as a guinea pig and achieve mastery, or do well in all these different fields, people might be able to see, or I just want to be able to say at the end of my life or my career, hopefully it's successful, right? That, or hopefully I achieve all the things that I want to. At the end of that span, I just want to look back and tell people that, I'm not any, yes, I was lucky enough to be raised in certain situations, and like, of course, there's luck involved in everything. And I was born into certain circumstances, but I'm still not any smarter than the average person, I think. And it's just, I was lucky enough at a young age to figure out the process of learning how to learn. And anyone can do it is kind of what I want to say. That's kind of what I want to prove, and that's why I want to do things in very separate fields. So for me, particularly, I want to do a lot of things, but I've distilled it down into 5 separate categories. So that's business, technology, art, music, and film. Now there's a lot of things in between there, like architecture, product design, like even within software. Software is part of technology, but there's also hardware. There's a lot of things, but I think broad spectrum wise, those are the 5 things that I am particularly interested in. But yeah, like besides the fact that I just really like creating things from, yeah, just creating things, I think that would be another big kind of life mission.